I'm Dr. Antonio Graceffo, and welcome to China Economic Research, coming to you from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Today's episode, China's disinformation and propaganda campaign. As the coronavirus appears to be receding in China and spreading at an exponential rate across the globe, the Communist Party of China has rewritten the narrative, portraying themselves as the heroes of the coronavirus and potential saviors of the world. On March 23, Tom Rogan wrote in the Washington Examiner, "The facts are clear. China enabled its domestic epidemic to become a global pandemic by hiding the scale and nature of what was happening in Hubei province in December 2019 and January 2020. It refused to allow international health teams into Wuhan City to study the virus, and it failed to restrict travel outside China even as the disease spread across the mainland. Reports have determined that China knew of the disease as early as November 2019, but failed to inform the WHO. Wuhan officials even destroyed evidence and lab samples. And the plight of several doctors who tried to warn the public but were then arrested has become well known around the globe. Additionally, it has since been determined that Xi Jinping knew the disease could be spread through human-to-human contact, although he told the World Health Organization officials that it could not. This lie allowed Chinese people to reach Thailand, Italy, South Korea, and the United States before other countries realized that they needed to halt arrivals from China, a step which China balked at. When countries such as the United States began closing their airports to Chinese arrivals, China complained, calling it racist and accusing the U.S. of politicizing the coronavirus. As infections in China began to diminish, China's PR campaign went into high gear, publicizing the fact that China was helping other countries. For example, social media was full of government press releases about how China had donated 1 million masks to aid Japan. The stories failed to mention, however, that Japan had previously donated 3 million masks to China. China has hijacked the coronavirus, transforming it into a PR win and an opportunity for mercantilism. China is letting Germany and the EU take the blame for mask shortages, when in reality, the shortages were caused by Chinese hoarding. It was recently reported that coronavirus supplies donated to China by the U.S. and other countries were resold in China and even have been sold to the United States and other countries abroad. Publicly and loudly, China claims to have donated coronavirus test kits to Czech Republic. It turns out 80% of the test kits are defective, and Czech Republic had to pay for them. They were not a donation. With the efficiency of a top Madison Avenue ad agency, China broadcasts to the world all of its good deeds, such as its medical aid to Italy, which included sending masks and other medical supplies to the European country most ravaged by the outbreak. The fact that China fails to disclose, however, is that they are charging Italy for the supplies. Furthermore, the quantity of aid China is now giving to Europe is roughly equal to the amount of aid China received from Europe, except that China is selling it. Part of China's narrative is that the U.S. is failing to help others, while China is selflessly struggling to save the world. The reality, however, is that for decades, the United States has been the world's largest provider of bilateral assistance in public health. USAID, the State Department, and the American taxpayer have given over $90 billion for health globally since 2009. The U.S. contributions to the WHO are double as much as China's. And when we look specifically at the coronavirus, the U.S. State Department on February 7, 2020, committed $100 million in coronavirus international aid. Additionally, on March 2nd, USAID committed $37 million to 25 developing countries that were affected or at high risk. Also, the U.S. is the largest financial backer of the Asian Development Bank, which is donating another $6.5 billion. U.S. Congress has already passed and President Trump has signed $1.3 billion in foreign aid to help countries fight coronavirus. In mid-March, Chinese officials began blaming the United States for the coronavirus, claiming it was a bioweapon intentionally unleashed by the U.S. Army in China during the military games last year. Another narrative that has cropped up in recent days was that a coronavirus outbreak occurred in the U.S. last year, which, depending on which Chinese source you read, was either misdiagnosed because of American incompetence or which was kept quiet for some reason that the stories failed to make clear. And the interesting thing about China's propaganda is that the same sources can and do believe both of these conflicting narratives. China is now trying to blame Italy for the coronavirus. Apparently, an Italian doctor named Ramuzzi gave an interview to NPR in which he said that in late 2019, they had begun to see a strange type of pneumonia in old people. Immediately, the article was picked up by Beijing, translated into Chinese, and received nearly 500 million views on Chinese social networking site Weibo. At the same time, China is still blaming the United States military for intentionally releasing the virus in China in late October. Laura Rosenberger, director of the Alliance for Securing Democracy, wrote that, much like Russian propaganda, China's strategy now seems to be to spread multiple, conflicting conspiracy theories, not to convince people of an explanation, but to create the idea that it's impossible to know the truth. Dr. Ramuzzi has since stated that his words were taken out of context, but the Communist Party has not stopped citing him as the smoking gun in their attempt to prove that the coronavirus started in Italy and was transported to China. China claims that they have no need of democracy or multiple parties because everyone loves the CCP and agrees with every decision taken by the Communist Party. If that's the case, however, one has to ask, why then does the central government need cameras everywhere, as well as a social credit system to monitor and control the behavior of citizens? And why would they need to censor criticism and mount massive propaganda campaigns in defense of the ruling Communist Party? In 2013, the Chinese government published a list of topics that it was forbidden to discuss in university classrooms, including universal values, a free press, civil society, civil rights, the party's past mistakes, corruption, and an independent judiciary. In a mad stroke of irony, among the censored topics is censorship itself. And this became one of the issues in the coronavirus epidemic. Chinese media was thoroughly censored with unofficial news of the coronavirus removed, but citizens would have been punished if they had posted about the censorship. To aid them in their online propaganda campaigns, China employs somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million internet trolls called Wumao, or 50-cent army. They post patriotic tweets, engage in arguments with dissenters, and sometimes attack the posts and accounts of prominent anti-China activists. They're particularly active around significant dates like the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre and when the government needs them to push specific lines or agendas. During the coronavirus period, they've stepped up their work, praising Xi Jinping's handling of the virus and criticizing President Trump. On Twitter, Wumao accounts can be detected by their poor English and pro-China stance. They jump into anti-China conversations where they were not tagged and often summon their friends. So, for example, if you tweet Xi Jinping hid the coronavirus from the WHO, you may suddenly have an account pretending to be an American or a Hong Konger, either criticizing you, disagreeing, or spouting something negative about America, such as, "You killed the Indians." If you engage with them, they can get paid. Allegedly, but no one is 100% certain, they're paid 50 cents or Wumao for each tweet, hence the name Wumao Army. And by arguing, you're helping them earn money. Another giveaway is that if you engage with one, within minutes, you could have 10 of them all tweeting at you. It seems a bit coincidental that 10 people you don't know and who allegedly do not know each other would suddenly appear in order to disagree with statements that you made about China. If you click through to the profile page, you'll often find that the accounts have very few followers, sometimes single digits or even zero. In their account activity, you'll find that they're sending variants of the same message to multiple accounts. It's my theory that they have a predetermined agenda to push on a given day. For the week leading up to the writing of this report, it seemed the agenda was 1, get the name of the coronavirus changed from China virus or Wuhan virus. 2, lie about the origin of the disease. 3, blame the United States. 4, portray China as saving the world. I'm Dr. Antonio Graceffo, and thank you for tuning in to China Economic Research. You can get my books at Amazon.com. I write about Chinese economy and wrestling and martial arts around Asia. You can also follow me on Twitter. I tweet about the Chinese economy and the Mongolian economy. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and please subscribe. I'm Dr. Antonio Graceffo. See you next time on China Economic Research.